So I want to do one more kind of problem here that has to do with commission. Commission is a little different from percent increase and decrease problems and the other applications that have to do with that, like tax and tip for increases or markup, and then discounts for percent decreases. Commission, you're just looking for a part of the whole. Usually, commission is what the person that makes the sale gets out of the total price. And you're not really going to have to worry about how much gets reduced from the sale because of that, because that doesn't really happen. You still pay the whole price, someone just gets a chunk of it. The only time that I would even see a kind of problem that has to do with commission have to do with decrease would be like if somebody asked what portion of the sale does the store keep? Well, in that case, you would just look at the percentage that is not the commission and do the same thing I'm doing here. Like, for example, if the store gave the seller a 25% commission, that means the store got 75%. And so the commission of the store is 75%, right? So even then, you don't have to think of it in terms of a decrease problem. You could treat it as here's what the person got paid. And so the original minus what the person got paid is the store's pay. But those problems are right to begin with. So let's just talk about how the typical commission problems are going to work out. Typically, what you're going to see with commission is going to be something like this. Someone has a 25% commission on a sale of a car that was bought for $500. So that is a cheap car, but not a big commission being made today. But anyways, how would you calculate that? Like a normal is of problem. You got that 25%, right? And you put it on the top right after putting the $100 on the bottom. Then you think about what is the original or the total part or the whole. Well, that's the 500. And then X is the commission that you're looking for. So see, commission is still the part. It still goes in the X. So then you cross multiply. You can simplify first if you want to, but you can skip that. If you cross multiply, X times 100 makes 100X. 500 twice 25 makes 12,500. And then you divide both sides by that 100, which is right next to the X, and you get 125 as the commission. So you see, commission is just an example of grabbing a piece out of the whole. And you normally don't have to subtract from the whole or add to the whole like you do in other kinds of increase or decrease problems. All right, so there are other examples of commissions that problems that sometimes go about it backwards. For example, let's say I earned $50 commission on a TV that I sold for 500. What was the percentage? That's kind of like the same thing, except that this time I'm looking for percentage. So you set up the same way, 100 at the bottom right, except you put an X for percentage because you know the whole is 500 and that the commission is 50, right? So then when you cross multiply, you get 500X equals 5,000, right? And then if you divide both sides by 500, because that's what's next to the X, you were going to get that 5,000 divided by 500, and you're going to get a commission that is about 10%. So the process is essentially the same. You're still going to do the same kind of setup. You're just having to look for something different in this second kind of problem. So I went through several different examples of percentage in this lecture series, and I hope that made sense to you. If not, don't forget, I'm available during office hours. Come see me, come get help, and I will see you on the next video where I'm going to start reviewing the actual practice sheet that is attached to the workshop, and that's probably the closest you can get to an actual workshop that I will do in person.